Welcome back to Oral Life. It's been a while, I know, but I'm so happy to see you. Today I'm going to talk about an important topic that I've had questions about throughout the past year during my pregnancy with my second child. All about festival going and pregnancy, some tips and tricks on what you need to do, and I'm going to break it down by trimester. So first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester, and then we'll end with just some overarching tools regardless of what trimester you're in. Before we jump right in, hi, if you're new here, I'm Ashley. I'm a rave mom and mom in real life, and I create content around raves and festivals, motherhood, and my fitness journey. So today, everyone is always talking about, should I go to a festival while I'm pregnant? I see often in the groups that I'm in online, especially with women, should I even attempt to go during pregnancy? And it can kind of feel daunting. And this second time around, the second pregnancy round, I actually did go to festivals pregnant. My first pregnancy, not so much. There was just a lot going on in my life. But this time around, I decided to go. Now, I will say in my first pregnancy, I did go to a few sets and a few shows, which is totally doable. And if that's all that you want to do, that's totally fine. But this time around, I did want to test out going to festivals, and I felt like I was stronger and I was able to do it. The first thing I should say before I even dive into what you should do for each trimester, everybody's body is different. Every pregnancy is different. You might feel like you can go and you are fine, and you've talked to your doctor, if you consulted with your doctor, which is very important, like I said, because every pregnancy is different, and you're good to go. There may be a pregnancy though, or a time where you just don't feel like festival going is for you, whatever circumstances you're going through physically, or if it's just gonna be too draining for you. So listen to your body, listen to yourself, think about what's going on in your life, and make adjustments. The first trimester. I'm going to break each trimester down by the symptoms that are typically associated with the trimester, and then I'll give you a few tips around how you can adjust and make sure that your festival going experience is the best. In the first trimester, this is when your HCG levels are high, and that's the pregnancy hormone. You're starting off, you're developing, a lot's going on with baby during this time, and you're gonna feel it. Your body's gonna start to feel it. Some of the symptoms that are typically associated during this trimester are fatigue, nausea, an increase of bathroom breaks, food and cravings aversions. So you might have food cravings, but you might also have aversions to foods that you never had before, and body sensitivity. For some people, body sensitivity could be to temp, so you might get cold easier, you might get hot easier, you might have certain parts of your body that are swollen or are sore. So these are the types of things that you're going to go through. So is it okay to go to a festival during your first trimester? Absolutely. One of the things I would say though is that the first trimester is really underrated because there is a lot going on, and there is a high risk of something happening with your pregnancy in that first trimester. So this is the time to be the most careful. A couple of things to consider during this time. Number one, wear comfortable shoes. Make sure you're not wearing those platforms. You want to make sure you're taking really good care of your body. You don't want to have any risk of tripping over yourself or falling during this time. And as I mentioned, because you're really developing baby. So any way that you can make yourself comfortable is key, and wearing comfortable shoes is important. Number two, make sure you're taking breaks to sit down, especially if you're really feeling fatigued. It's important to stop. You may not be able to stand the whole time during the festival, so make sure that you sit down, take a breather. While you're eating, maybe that might be a good time to pop a squat and sit down, and really listen to your body. And you may even have to have someone in your rave family remind you to take a break. I know when we're in the moment and we're having a good time listening to music, we can kind of get distracted. So you might want to have a buddy system, someone to kind of watch over you and caretake you during that festival experience. That leads me to snacking throughout. Oftentimes during the first trimester, there's a lot of nausea, and that is due to actually hunger. So some women find that it is important to snack throughout the day to avert some of that nausea. So I would say this is not the time to skip on those nuggets or those chicken strips or the pizza. This is actually the time where you have the freedom to eat. And honestly, I enjoyed the freedom of eating during pregnancy at festivals because I knew I couldn't drink. I couldn't have a cocktail. So why not just have all of the food and all of the feels and enjoy myself? So use this time to make sure that you're staying on top of your nutrition, that you're eating enough calories throughout the day, especially if you're walking around, because your body is not only trying to fuel itself during a festival, which is a marathon in itself, but you're also trying to build a baby. The next thing is hydrate. It's very, very important to drink plenty of water during this time. So, I would say this is a good time to bring that lunch box hydration pack. Shout out to my lunchbox fam. Fill it up. You might need to go and get a refill throughout the day, whereas, before you only had to fill it once. You need to really make sure that you always have water on tap at all times. It's very important to stay hydrated. That being said, because you are frequenting the bathroom a little bit more, you might want to plan out your bathroom breaks more frequently. Think about where you're going. Make sure that you plan for those times in between sets when you're moving around to use the restroom. The last thing I would say, because of the food cravings and aversions, is be conscious of the foods that you're eating. There's a pregnancy list of foods that you're not able to eat. Oftentimes we don't know what's going into the festival food, so just be clear. You might need to ask the vendor some questions. Maybe take a screenshot of the food list and have that on your phone so that you are aware of what you can and you can't eat. And you may not want to have certain foods that have more complex flavors if it's going to be a turn-off or off-putting for you. So just listen to your body. Your nose will tell you if something is not feeling right, if you're feeling queasy. And just pay attention to the ingredients listed when you're at a food vendor. Second trimester. Second trimester, you're out of the woods. Fatigue isn't as bad. Typically, this is the time where you're not experiencing as much nausea, and you might also receive a burst of energy, which is typically what happens with me during my pregnancies. This is a great time, in my opinion, to go to a festival. Now, your body will be changing during this time. The shape of your body is changing. So a lot of the tips that I have here really go towards how to dress and just how you feel about yourself and the body and the new skin that you're in. So the first thing I would say, a lot of the same tips that I had mentioned before, staying hydrated, well fed, wearing comfortable shoes, taking breaks, looking at the ingredients list, all of those things apply here as well. But I would say in addition, because your body is changing, this is when you start to get that baby bump, you may want to take some new considerations in how you're dressing when you go to a rave. Now, typically in the first trimester, you're not really going to need to change what you're wearing. You could probably wear some of your old rave clothes or order the same sizes. During your second trimester, I would suggest you going up a size. So usually, like for instance, if I'm a size large, if I go up to an extra large, that will account for the new baby bump. But you might also want to consider some styles that are going to be more accommodating and more comfortable around your belly. So during this time, I really enjoyed wearing flare bottoms or mesh bottoms. Leggings are great. If you have stretchy sets, those are perfect for this. High-waisted bottoms, maybe going a size up just to make sure that elastic is not too tight and snug against your belly. Those are really great alternatives. And even like skater skirts, that leaves room for your belly. The most important thing that I would say is order a size up, but make sure you try it on ahead of time so that you feel comfortable with how it's fitting against body. You don't want to cut off the circulation around your abdomen just to leave that space for baby, but then also you want to feel comfortable and confident in the skin that you're in. Your body is changing. You might start to feel a little bit differently about how you look. This way you feel really good about what you're going in, and you don't have to think about, you know, your clothing. You can think about having a good time. Another tip during this time is maybe bring some extra outfit alternatives. That way, if you're not feeling as good about your outfit choice, you can swap it out. When I went to EDC Orlando, this was actually during my second trimester, and I had outfits planned out, and some worked better than others. And in the moment, I was able to kind of be flexible, be nimble, and change in and out of different items if it didn't serve me well. So I would say, you know, pay attention to your clothing, and like I said, order a size up for baby. The next thing I would say about the second trimester is this is the time where baby's eyes and ears are starting to be developed.
Hi fam, I mentioned this in passing later on, but weeks 22 and 23 are the critical weeks in which ear development takes place. This is when they start to hear sound outside of the belly, and this is when you should start monitoring the level of sound that you're exposing your baby to. I'll link some interesting articles for you to reference below.
What does that mean for you? That means that the level of sound is going to be critical in protecting the baby's hearing. So one thing you might want to consider is the distance that you are away from the stage, as well as away from speakers. Just to protect baby, you might want to stand a little bit back further from the rail, or even in the back, to ensure that you have enough ample space, and that you're not affecting baby's hearing. I think this is actually a good rule of thumb for all trimesters, because you don't want to be in a situation or in a space where you can get easily bumped, or if you're in the way, or you can get squeezed and tugged in. So I would suggest standing on the sides or in the back away from the speakers at this point. And you might also, if you have a rave fam around you, have them build a circle of protection around you. That way, if people are coming in and out to make their way up to the stage, you have people around you that can protect you from getting bumped. Towards the tail end of the second trimester, you may also want to consider getting ADA access. ADA access is for festival goers who might have need an adaptive experience, and that also includes pregnancy. In order to do that, all you have to do is look on the festival's website and look at their contact information, and you can email them and request access. And I believe they actually will give you either a wristband, or you just show that specific email to the event coordinators, and they'll take care of you. All of this I would do ahead of time before you go to the festival, so that you know that your access is all set up and ready to go. And I say at the end of the second trimester, because that's the time where your belly's going to be at its biggest. You're kind of heading into the third trimester, and you might have another dip in energy, or you may not be able to stand on your feet too long. This way you have a space that is further enough from the stage that you can sit down comfortably, and you can view everything well without having to worry about standing for too long of a duration. All right. Now we're getting into the third trimester, and it's about that time to have baby. What are some of the things that are happening? So, of course, your belly's getting bigger. You may have swollen feet or swollen legs during this time just because of water retention. And it can be harder to stand during this time. It's can be an uncomfortable moment, especially towards the tail end of your pregnancy. Also, things to consider is typically your OBGYN might tell you that you can't travel outside of the state or a long distance. The long distances past typically 34 weeks. I think that some OBGYNs recommend after 36 weeks. But to be safe, 34 weeks is probably the best in terms of flying. So what should you consider during this time? I would say this is not the time to go to a festival out of state. If you're gonna go to the festival, it should be localized wherever you're at, and you might want to even consider cutting back on the days. So if you feel good and you feel strong, go all 3 days, but it's okay to also maybe buy tickets for 1 day during this time, or go only to shows during this time for a shorter duration, depending on how much energy you have. Again, ADA access is there for you, so feel free to use that. Me personally, I decided to take time off from rave going during my 3rd trimester, but these are some tips that I think would be great if you decide to go. I also would say, you know, assess your body at all times. How you're feeling. Again, are you getting overheated? Are you hydrated? Are you drinking a lot of water? Especially in the heat, if it's the summertime, you might want to bring a fan. You might want to bring, I think they have those cooling towels as well that you can bring in. Ask for ice. Make sure that you're not overheated, and you want to just assess if you're not feeling good. It might be smart to leave early, and in general, it might be smart to leave early just to get out before the crowds are getting out of the festival. That way, you don't have to worry about getting pushed or shoved or being in a confined space. You can kind of just leave in advance. This time too, I think that's why the ADA access is handy. You're gonna probably want to sit down more. There's gonna be more pressure on your belly, so make sure you're sitting, you're not standing too long on your feet, and get those comfortable shoes in. I hope that was helpful for me to break it down by trimester, and now I'm going to share with you the top 10 tips that I have overall if you decide to go to a rave or festival pregnant. These also can include shows and concerts, guys, as well. So these are my top 10 tips. The first one I would say is consider consulting your doctor. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, all experiences are different when it comes to pregnancy, and it's really important to know where you are in your pregnancy journey. You might be under restriction from your doctor, and in that case, I would not recommend going to a festival if your doctor says it's not healthy for baby. So consider what's going on and make sure that you consult that doctor before you decide to go. Number 2, be aware of the distance around you, and that could be the distance and the space around you, and your proxy around you, and it also includes your distance from the stage and the speakers. Again, after 20 weeks, you want to make sure that you're protecting baby's ears, so stand back just as a precaution. You know, typically sound does not affect the baby to much of an extent, but it is inconclusive about the effects that concert going in terms of the sound can have on baby when it's extremely loud. So I would say, just to be safe, distance from the stage in the back is plenty, and is a safe zone. The next thing I would say is leave room for yourself to roam, to move around, and those spaces are also going to be in the back or on the sides. And that is a good segue into the third tip that I have, which is enlist your rave fam to build a circle around you. I was so fortunate in EDCO that the Lunchbox fam, I had them all around me. People were looking out for me, not pushing me aside, but guiding me to the side if someone was coming through, ensuring that I'm safe and that baby is safe. And this will come naturally. You will feel protective of that belly and you'll be more aware, but I think kind of cluing people in around you as well to make them aware is a great precaution to take. Number 4 is consider wearing a mask. So when you are at a festival, I haven't mentioned this, but obviously there's a lot of dust. There's also a lot of smoke in the air. And in order to just protect your baby and to protect yourself, I would recommend to wear a mask. Now, do you need to wear a mask all the time? No. But I think if you're smelling smoke, it's a good precaution. When you're closer to the crowd, it's a good precaution. And then, you know, when you're away from the crowd, you can feel free to take it off. But it's just good to have in case you feel like you need it. Remember to stay hydrated and to eat throughout the duration of the festival. You need your energy for yourself and to grow that little baby. So make sure that you're eating meals, at least 3 meals, maybe some snacks in there. Eat before you go to the festival. Make sure you grab that meal afterwards, get a snack in there. It's really important just for your energy level in general. And as I said, stay hydrated. We all know that festivals are a marathon, not a sprint. And so it's very, very important for you to stay hydrated, to keep your energy levels up, and to prevent dehydration. The next thing I would say is pack and plan ahead. Plan those times in between sets where you're gonna take a bathroom break, plan when you're gonna eat, plan when you're gonna take a rest. With your rave fam, listen to your body throughout the duration, and pack some backups. You can, like I said, pack a fan. You can pack the fans even that plug into your phone that are motorized. You can pack a hand fan. You can pack cooling towels. I know some people who also pack snacks as well, so you can pack those. As long as they're sealed and ready to go, you know, you should be good in terms of getting through security. So that might be a backup, especially if you're balling on a budget. I already mentioned this, but make sure that you take 3 breaks throughout the duration. You might need to step away from the stages or find a quiet area, a quaint area where you can still experience the music, but you're able to sit down and rest those legs. The next one is dress for comfort. So as I mentioned, you want to dress to make room for baby. Wear those comfortable shoes, and dressing for comfort isn't just in terms of how your body feels, but how you feel about yourself, your confidence. So don't give into any pressures of looking a certain way. You dress how best it makes you feel, and what's going to make you feel good about yourself, so that you can focus on having a good time. There's no negative thoughts here. We want body positivity because, hey, you're going a baby, and that is enough. That is enough, and you should be celebrating your body during this time. Last but not least, make sure that you get your rest away from the festival. It's really, really important that you're sleeping during your festival weekend or before the show. Take a nap before you go. Make sure you get some Z's afterwards. Get those 5, 6, 7 hours of sleep. I know that might mean that you might have to forgo on some of the after parties, or you might have to not go to some of those day parties, especially if it's like a longer type of duration of a festival. But it's really, really important that you get your rest, because you're not only resting for yourself, but you're resting for baby. So that's it, guys. These are my tips for each of the trimesters, and just overall tips for going to a festival while pregnant. I hope you enjoyed them. I've been wanting to make content like this for a long time, and there's a lot more to come. I'm gonna break down some of the important things to consider, like which brands you can wear while you're pregnant, and just some other great nuggets, even tips around postpartum and going to raves and festivals after. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions about tips and tricks around going to a rave or festival during pregnancy, drop those comments below. I'd love to also hear your experiences if you've gone during this time, and I hope you enjoyed this content. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to get more content from me, and I love you guys so much. As I always say, positive self, positive wealth. Bye guys, see you later.